Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to a new week on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls, KMBN in Western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. It is a Monday. It is a muggy one, a hazy one, hot. What are other H words I could use here on the air? Probably inappropriate on this Monday, but we are here ready to rock. On the final Monday of the month, we are just on the doorstep of August, which normally means the dog days of summer. It also means training camps or fall camps for whatever your favorite football team that you follow are right around the corner, because we are here. The Vikings have the rookies report. The vets come tomorrow. The first practice after that is on Wednesday. I think the first one open to the public is on Saturday. And then they're going. College football practices begin this week, both in Fargo and in Grand Forks. And then a week from now, high school football practices get going on Thursday, I want to say, in the state of North Dakota, a week from Thursday. So the official end of summer, which I declared on whatever it was, July 6th, or it was 3 weeks ago today when I came back from my vacation. Now it is official, and with 95 degrees. It was just bleeping hot yesterday. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. It just we were in Las Vegas, I know, 10 days ago. And walking outside there, and we weren't out a ton, but in the evening time we were, and that was just a blast furnace, right? You walk out and it just, wow, it hits you. But after a bit, you're like, okay, you get used to it. Because people just roll their eyes at this. There is no humidity with the heat there. Here, yesterday, you walk out like you're drenched 30 seconds after you're doing anything. You're just going to take the garbage out or anything like that. It's just oppressive. And apparently it's not going anywhere for the time being. I was out walking the dog this morning before getting ready to come to work, and it was pleasant. And that was at 6:45 in the morning. No, that's not going to be the case. So just be smart out there, hydrate, all the good things the meteorologists and they tell you to do it over the next few days, because it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, which is something to keep our eyes on, especially with football practice beginning, as I mentioned, later this week. That will be ultra important. So that's just your little PSA before we get a show rolling here on a Monday. We got a lot to get to. We'll unpack from the weekend. We'll salute our best of the weekend as we do that coming up each and every Monday here in about 20 minutes or so. This was the last, though, Sunday. I saw this being tweeted out, and it's accurate, and I think I mentioned this on Friday's show before we wrap for the week, that the last Sunday without any football until after Valentine's Day. We will have either practices happening starting this week, and then, heck, the Hall of Fame game is a week from Thursday. So there's actual games on the horizon here, and then we go. So it'll be back in the bloodstream before you know it, and then it's gone just as quick as it comes on. So let's enjoy as best we can. We got I think, a really exciting high school football season on tap with some really good players on both sides of the river. I think this is as anticipated a high school season I can remember locally for a variety of reasons, both in Minnesota and North Dakota. And you've met a smattering of the really good local players that not necessarily all going to NDSU or UND. The Dragons have scooped up some. Bemidji State's got some. USF's got some. Northern Sun is littered with really good players, and you're going to meet another one coming up on our show later this morning. Excited about that. That's the anticipation for what's to come. But before we chat any football, The baseball season isn't done. It has been done for my favorite teams for about, 2 months now. As I checked in yesterday, the Mets beat the Dodgers yesterday to get us now a cool 18 games under 500. It really does stink when your favorite ball team is out of it before August 1. Because once you get to August 1st, and the Twins very well could be in this or not, that when you get to August, then you're like, all right, we're in it. Let's see, or we're going to make some additions and go for it, right? Because then when your baseball team is in a pennant race, there's nothing like it, especially if you follow it, because it can grip you every single day. And you're watching what your team is doing. You're watching what other teams are doing in the standings. But when you are not, when you are irrelevant, oh, man, it is a slog between now and the end of September. The only intriguing part for my favorite team is how many guys are going to get traded, because they know they're making moves. They are jettisoning salary. For the Twins, they are in the exact spot we thought they would be. Not out of it and not completely in it. In fact, after this past weekend, since the All-Star break where they lost 2 of 3 to the Cubs, right? 1 and 2. They went 2-2 against the Guardians. So they were 3-4 heading into the weekend series with the A's. We talked with Corey Provis about this on Friday. What happens against the A's? They go 2-1. So they are exactly 5-5 since the All-Star break, and not in a position that, hey, we're definitely buying, and not in a position we're definitely selling. But at least they got a series win. Highlights from the game yesterday against the A's, who are out of it and were playing like a double-A team yesterday. They threw the ball all around the yard to help out Minnesota. It was a hot day at Target Field as well. How about the old RBI fielder's choice to start things for Royce Lewis to drive in the first run of the game as Austin Martin scores. Here's what I'm talking about errors. Cody Clemens hits this one out to right center, and then things just get bad for the A's. I'm not sure where this throw was going from Alika Williams, but it's going to allow Clemens to get the Little League home run and make it 3-0 in favor of the Twins. It's 4-0 or 3-0 here when a balk is called. This is what I'm talking. Comedy of errors yesterday for the A's. Alex Jackson scores, makes it 4-0. Nobody was happy, especially anytime you argue a balk, it's like arguing balls and strikes. You automatically get ejected from the game. Marcotte was asked to leave. Then Ryan Jeffers, whose value went up over the weekend, we'll talk about that in a second, delivers with an opposite field hit to score 2. That makes it 6-0 Minnesota only in the second inning. It got to be quite interesting here. It's 8-5 in favor of Minnesota. Now make it 8-6 on this sacrifice fly. Nick Kurtz hit a 3-run home run to get things interesting. It's 9-6 when Ryan Kreidler comes up and he delivers here in the 8th inning. This is off the wall. That's going to go for a triple. Brooks Lee would come in to score. That made it 10-6 Minnesota at this point. The A's committed, by the way, 4 errors yesterday. Twins go on and win it. It was an ugly game. Long game as well. 11-8. Nearly took 3 hours, which in this day and age is long. 8 runs on 8 hits and 4 errors for the old Athletics, who dropped to 17 games under 500. Twins get 11 runs on 13 hits. Not involved in the decision. Actually, Connor Prelip did get the win, despite the fact he went 5 2/3, which is about his limit through 72 pitches to get his 3rd win of the season. So as you wake up this morning in the American League Central, the Twins now are just a game under 500, 3.5 back of the White Sox after 107 games. So they got 55 games to go. The other race is the wild card. That's what you probably have to look at. We'll see on the division. Nobody actually is pulling themselves away. The wild card race looks like this here. Yankees, Red Sox, Guardians. The Twins are a game back of Cleveland for the final wild card spot. And then there are the Mariners right behind Minnesota. Reminder that the Twins go to Seattle at the end of the week. Those games couldn't be any more important than the Astros are 2 back. The Orioles are 2.5 back. So you've got plenty of teams still in it, which is what baseball wants. Granted, they're all mediocre. Look at these records. Guardians are a game over 500. The Twins are 1 under 500. The Mariners are 2 under 500. Astros 3. Orioles 4. Tigers 6, which seems like they're going to move on from Tarek Skubal. So, just to put a bow on it here, they're not out of it, and they're not necessarily in it either. That's the dilemma that now surrounds this baseball team. I don't know what they're going to do. They have the Royals come a day off today, and then it's 3 with Kansas City, and the Royals are bad. So I said to Corey Provis, if you missed it on our show on Friday, I thought 5-1 minimum. He pushed back on that and said 4-2, which I guess we're not that far off. But so far, and this was talking about the most recent homestand, so they're 2-1. Let's see what happens here with this series with Kansas City. Again, baseball is so weird like that. You can't just count wins. Like in football, you can, especially late in the season, you can almost say, all right, we're going to beat this team. Baseball is so unlike that where, granted, when teams are way out of it, they love playing spoiler. But the Twins are just on that threshold of deciding what they're going to do or not. Jeffers has now become even more valuable, going back to our point when we were talking the highlights. The A's all-star catcher, Shea Langoliers, is out for the season now with injury. So if there's a team, and there's quite a few out there, that need catching, that need some sort of catching help, Ryan Jeffers suddenly became a heck of a lot more attractive on the trade market. Remember, he is a free agent after the season. What they decide to do is going to be quite interesting over the next little bit. Is that dependent on how this goes? The trade deadline is a week from today. We'll see. Because last year doing the trade deadline show was on fire. As we know, the Twins traded 10 guys. I don't foresee that happening. We'll see if they add. The next week will be all telling on that. Last thing before we get going, a salute over the weekend. We could have done this on Best of the Weekend. We do it here in our normal first segment because it was unbelievable theater to watch because we're inside most of the time anyway. Watch the 3M Open be played out at TPC Twin Cities. And our guy, Tom Hoagie, we were on the air. He imploded, did not make the cut, pretty much destroying any hope for him of making it into the FedEx Cup playoffs unless he wins this week at the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. But the new name to get to know for golf fans out there is Jackson Koiven because he was electric this weekend at the 3M Open. Saturday, he shot 28 on the back nine. He was trying to trace down this guy, or other way around. Normally, everyone's trying to trace down Scheffler. Instead, Scheffler was in pursuit of Koiven. And that's a fabulous shot from Scotty, who had record crowds all weekend long. This is for a birdie at the 11th, which he'll drain this, get to 19 under par. At that moment, he was 4 shots off the lead. Koiven didn't play great on the front nine, right? Sprayed it around a little bit. Here out of the bunker at the 9th, that is left for par. So here's a potential 2-shot swing because Koiven is 3 shots ahead of Scheffler. But he drained that putt, and then things changed on the back nine because he owned it. Here at the 12th, out of the sand. Again, that's a tester off the green. And again, it's got a 3-shot lead. Knowing the world's number one is Baron Downham, he makes that birdie putt and goes up by 4. That was all the confidence he would need. He parred 13, parred 14. Scheffler, meanwhile, taps that in at the 18th hole, got himself to 22 under. So he posts there. Koiven then, this for Eagle at 16. He's made this his 3rd career PGA start, folks, and he played like a tour vet over the weekend. Left this for birdie. This got him a 3-shot lead with 2 holes to go. Then at 18, finally he had a mortal shot. This tee shot at the 18th, not great. clipped a tree, left it in the tall grass. I could see his frustration looming there. He would actually punch out. Look at the crowds we mentioned all weekend long were just fantastic in the Twin Cities. He had this to save par. That was for the tournament scoring record as Koivu wins by 3. In his third career start, he wins the 3M Open. Quite the weekend. He takes home over $1.5 million, earns 500 FedEx Cup points. He gets a trip to the Masters next year as well because he's a PGA Tour winner. Rounds of 64, 68. He shot 61 on Saturday, including that 28 on the back nine, and 66 yesterday. That is nails stuff there from a rookie on the PGA Tour, and he beats the number one player in the world. Let alone he wins. He outdueled Scheffler and won by 3 on Sunday. That's pretty good stuff. Now, granted, I know some that are fans of golf don't like the mini golf numbers. I mean, we had 6 guys at 20 under par or lower. That's crazy. Denny McCarthy, Chandler Phillips, Brian Harmon, Hideki Matsuyama, Scheffler, and Koivu all were 20 under. But we talked about this when Sam joined us on the show Thursday, that's typically going to be the winning mark. Instead, Koivu goes 5 shots better and wins it. So there's another name to know for you golf fans out there that might be coming up through the ranks. Jackson Koivu, what a performance over the weekend. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday. Great way to start our week. We'll salute our best of the weekend. We'll do that coming up here in just a few minutes. Our guy Jeff Kolpak will join us in studio. It is a busy week for those that follow Bison football. North Dakota State opens fall camp on Wednesday. We'll be out there for coverage of that. We'll talk with Kolpak about the storylines he's following, maybe some names to watch for the next month. Not necessarily the big names. I think we all know we're talking about Nathan Hayes and Donovan Woolen and Darius Givens and Griffin Empey. How about the guys maybe we don't know? That's what we're going to hit with Kolpak here at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, we have 2 interviews to still show you from Mountain West Media Days. Ken Niumatalolo, the head coach of San Jose State, will join us to talk about his time at the Naval Academy, which I thought also was really, really interesting, and going from a complete opposite offense, from running the wishbone offense of the Naval Academy to now throwing it 70 times a game with the Spartans. Fun conversation with the head coach at SJSU. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, the newest commitment for the Dragon football team, Matt DuBord from Davies High School, will join us at 10:35. He made his commitment over the weekend. A rash of locals that are joining Steve Lockway's 2027 bunch. You met Easton Holland on Friday from Central Cass. Miles Thiel just committed as well from Kindred. Now Matt DuBord will join as well, joining Cullen Cooper from Fargo South, and a rash of guys that Lockway's able to get. So Matt will join us to wrap the show at 10:35. Action-packed way to start a Monday here in the final week of July. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, including another EDC standout going to play D1 football. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Monday morning. We're back right after this. All right, best of the weekend time. We do it each and every Monday here at 9:20 or so. A lot of good candidates to pick from. We mentioned it on our show on Friday in terms of our what to watch. USA Track Championships were going on, not in Eugene, not in Des Moines, which are 2 traditional spots, either in Tracktown, USA, or the Drake Relays. No, instead in New York City, of all spots, where Noah Lyles competed this weekend. Sha'Carri Richardson. I mean, the names we got to know a couple years ago in Paris, and we'll know certainly in 2 years' time in L.A. One of those guys we're hoping to know in L.A. will try to make it to the Olympics for the 3rd time is former North Dakota State All-American and national champion Peyton Otterdahl. He was throwing yesterday in the shot put. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. Coverage lacked a little greatness here. That was the only throw we were able to get of Peyton on air. Better look here from his Instagram feed. He ended up finishing 3rd in the USA Championships. Best throw was 71.5 feet, which is another top 3 finish for him. which he's been used to doing at USA Nationals. Puts him in a good spot. He's traveled the world, obviously. He hasn't had a great season, but yesterday, certainly, to finish top 3 in USA Nationals, you're doing all right. So a good way to finish there. Obviously got the rest of the season to go. World Track Championships are coming next year. They're in every odd year that is not an Olympic year. But finishes 3rd there yesterday. Obviously he finished 4th at the Olympic Games. Just look at his personal best here of what he's thrown in the shot on the discus. He's currently ranked 8th in the shot put. He's been to the Olympics twice. Good to see him yesterday. I mean, that is a tough road to hoe. We had him on, a couple years ago, getting ready for the Olympics, and I think after when he threw at the Olympics in Paris and just missed getting that bronze medal. That is a long road to hoe for 4 years, but good finish for him yesterday in New York City. It was a neat setting for the USA Track Championships over the weekend. Swimming got coming up this week. Next, we mentioned commitments earlier in the program. Earlier this summer, we heard from West Fargo Horace's Aiden Green, one of their top players, that he verbally committed to play football at Western Michigan. So the Hawks, who had a great year last year, went awry in the opening round of the 3A playoffs, lost at home in a stunner to Bismarck Legacy. They bring back a good majority of their team in 2026 with some high hopes to have a really good fall. Green is a big piece of that. The other is Brett Livingston. And he announced over the weekend that he's going to play Division I football as well. The 6'6" wide receiver announced his commitment to play at Western Illinois in the Ohio Valley Football Conference. Livingston originally had offers from North Dakota State and Western Michigan. I believe those offers were off the table, but Western Illinois came in late and offered the big man. Now, here's the intriguing part about Livingston was up in the air not that long ago if he was going to either play basketball or play football. You can see he's got great range. He's certainly got the size and a little bit of speed to him as well. And the finishing last year had 6 touchdowns for a Hawks team, as we know, that had a really good season. Last year, Horace finished 7-3, 4-1 in the EDC. Had over 500 yards receiving for a Hawks team that figures to be in the mix in 2026. So that's 2 now Horace Hawks that are going to be playing Division I football this upcoming year in 2027, part of that class. And again, the 2027 class of North Dakotans, just North Dakotans, that are playing Division I football, regardless if it's FCS or FBS, is as high as it's ever been. This is, I think, a record. We've got the 2 in Kindred that are playing, obviously with Baco and Starcevic. Baco to Minnesota, Starcevic going to Clemson. Now you've got 2 Hawks, Livingston to Western Illinois, Green to Western Michigan. Now that's 4. Drew Kessel from Fargo South, now Moorhead. I'm going to give him Fargo South because he spent 3 years at South. That's 5. You got our friend out in Stanley going to Kansas State. That's 6. I don't remember that many. Not in one class of North Dakotans playing Division I football. And we're not done. I think there might be at least 1 or 2 more that could be coming through the pipeline here before. Again, we're still 5 months off from signing day. So congratulations to those guys. That's pretty cool stuff. And congrats to Brett. I believe we're hopeful we'll get him on the show either tomorrow or sometime this week. I'll have a chance to visit with him before fall camp gets going. Lastly, here's a repeat offender on our best of the weekend. One of my all-time favorites. If you're watching CFL football again last night, Hamilton was playing Montreal. The Tiger Cats and the Alouettes playing, which I know is a big rivalry for everybody who watches Hot Mic. It should be because our guy Destin Talbert was making plays again. Talbert, a couple weeks ago we had a pick. He's been one of Hamilton's best players. He was again last night in the game with Montreal. Fourth quarter, a tight game, comes up with a big-time hit, forces the fumble that Hamilton would recover. this guy is completely blown up his career. He was good in college. He's become a really good player in the CFL. Added 3 tackles. Montreal ended up winning the game last night. But Talbert's having a heck of a year for that Hamilton team. The Tiger Cats, who lost 31-18, was the final. Just looking here, league-wide stats-wise, that's not going to help me. They do their stats a little bit differently in Canada. That's all right. Knowing full well, though, he's one of their top players for Hamilton this year. He signed a contract extension before the season got going. This is actually probably going to be easier for me to find here on what he's done for the season. On the year, he has 27 tackles, got the 1 pick. He had 58 tackles and 3 interceptions a year ago. He's in his 3rd season in playing for Hamilton. He's just been really, really solid. Last night, notwithstanding, again, to add to that. Now with a forced fumble that he had. So far, high in a game was 7 tackles. That was his first forced fumble. He's got a pick. He's been really solid for a Hamilton team that's right around the middle of the pack in the CFL. I'm not a great CFL mind, but when we see somebody doing something, we make sure we get it on the show. So congrats to Destin, who will live forever here with the one-handed interception he had against James Madison in the semifinals way back in 2021. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Jeff Kolpak will join us. Bison Fall Camp begins Wednesday. What are the storylines he'll be following? Maybe the players we don't know he'll be following. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. I thought Kolpak was going to be on, but he's not here. So the show goes on. Maybe we got some miscommunication here. I don't know. But hopefully everything's all right. But in any case, we will truck on here. Appreciate email came in. Peyton Silo, I missed out of Bismarck Century, who is committed to the Bison class of 2027. So that brings our total up to 7 that we were talking about in our previous segment there on our best of the weekend. Appreciate that that email on that. In lieu of Kolpak being here, I will produce my own list of names to watch. Now, yesterday, if you followed Inforum.com, we started our fall camp preview series, and I'll have another one later today and then another tomorrow, in anticipation of storylines to watch and players to watch that aren't necessarily the big name. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, like saying Nathan Hayes is a player to watch isn't necessarily going out on a limb. I think everybody knows that we're watching. He's a first-year starter quarterback, senior. He's the starting quarterback. It goes without saying he's a player to watch, right? DJ Scott, same thing. Offensive line, Griffin Empey, we know those names, right? Ryan Babbitt's first-year starting, but again, he played last year. Not necessarily a new name. Defensively, like Keenan Wilson, Donovan Woolen, Darius Givens. Those aren't off the board like, whoa, shocker name. No, we know those guys. Right? Those are ones that have performed, and obviously they have high expectations on them to do well in 2026, but those aren't ones that we haven't heard of before. My goal on this was to talk guys that we haven't heard from, that we maybe have seen briefly play and are expected for a more wide-ranging role in 2026. Yesterday, I did the defensive guys that I expect that we're going to hear from or names to watch throughout the year. The first one is not necessarily a name you may not know. It's a name we've talked about quite a bit. It's Gavin Sell, redshirt freshman linebacker out of Baldwin, Wisconsin, who has the prototypical size at 6'2", 230 pounds. I mean, he's got great size and fits that role to a T. And he got in a game the end of last year, the St. Thomas game. Saw there he had a TFL there against the Tommies. And throughout the year, it was a name I continue to hear, that this is a guy that could potentially play a lot for us this season, meaning 2025. And it ended up he didn't play more than a handful of games. He dressed, I think, for nearly every game. He got slowed up by an injury in fall camp last year. If that injury doesn't happen, I think he plays maybe the whole year. And that could have changed the whole trajectory for him. Now with the 5-for-5 deal, he would have still had 4 years to play. As it is, he has the 4 years in front of him. Now, linebacker is a really interesting spot because as it sits here, we know Donovan Woolen is back. Woolen's an outside linebacker. We don't know the other two spots. Obviously, Nathaniel Stanley moved on, meaning there's an opening at middle linebacker and there's another opening at the outside linebacker where Logan Kopp played for the last basically 4 years, 3 years, that they've got to fill. And there's a variety of names. Sell is certainly in that mix. Oliver Luck from Fargo Davies is in the mix at middle linebacker with Keith Williams, the transfer from Cornell. Those two guys are at that middle linebacker spot. The other outside linebacker spot, that's really interesting. Alex Elliott's name is there. Peter Haugo's name is there. Ray James' name is there. And Sell is in that mix. All of those guys are in that rotation to see, okay, who's going to break through and who's going to step up. That, to me, is really interesting to see what's going to play out over the next month. By the time we get to the week of Jacksonville State, who's going to be the guy playing at that position? That will be awfully intriguing to see what transpires there. That's one spot at linebacker. Marion Moore is another guy. Moore plays corner. And if you watched any of our spring practice coverage, or if you watched the final spring practice, the one we televised, he had a couple of great pass breakups that just made you, and it wasn't against anybody, it was against Jackson Williams, right? There was one-on-ones, and Moore was out there flashing. Now, corner is another spot I don't know if we're talking enough about. You know, we're talking plenty on line play and linebacker, quarterback, but corner, remember the Bison had both their starters leave through the portal. Jaquise Alexander went to Delaware. Jalen Duffy went to Central Florida. Anthony Shadime Alfaro graduated. So there's your top three guys that played are all gone. Now, that was a spot that Tim Polisic was beyond active in the portal. They added 3 portal transfer corners. DJ Volts, E.J. Davis, Chance Tucker. Those are the 3 portal corners they added. And I think Volts looked good. Davis got out there. Tucker we didn't see because he didn't come until May. But I think Moore is a guy in-house. If you're looking, everyone is attracted to the portal guys, and that's fine, but in-house might be the better option. Moore seems to be the guy. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, pretty good speed. Come from the same high school that produced one Tyrone Braxton. That doesn't mean anything. I think it's a neat stat, but obviously worked out well for Braxton out of Madison Memorial. He had a preferred walk-on offer to go to Wisconsin, turn that aside, and sign at North Dakota State. They really like his potential at corner. That's another spot to keep an eye on. Jalen Archibald is another name at the safety spot. Archibald is from Frisco. He also was slowed up by injury during fall camp last year. We don't know what his role could have been. Now, safety is flush with players. You have Givens back. You have Talon Edey, who I think is going to start this year. Jalen Crumby is back. Will Stile is there. You've got a lot of players. And then Archibald's in that mix as well. And he's a guy, again, 6'1", 205 pounds. He played in 4 games last year. I think he would have played in more had he been healthy. Remember, he transferred in from the Air Force Prep Academy out of Frisco High School. He's high school friends with Donovan Woolen. This is a guy the Bison were trying to recruit fresh out of high school in 2023. He decided to go the Air Force route. That didn't work. Came here and has been in Fargo for a better part of 18 months. He got here before the winter of 2025 and practiced last year and then was here throughout the whole season a year ago. Where do they find him? Special teams obviously going to be out there. What kind of defensive packages do they find him on the field? That's a name with his size and speed. Again, I would put out there as a potential guy to play. 2 other spots here defensively before we turn our attention to offense. And to me, you look at it on the defensive end, Matthew Stenbrotten is not a name we don't know. And again, I put an asterisk by there. Stenbrotten played in all 13 games last year, but his role was minimal until late in the season. If you watch the UND game, go back and watch where number 49, he's wearing a new number this year. I believe he's wearing number 11. But watch where number 49 was a season ago in that game and then the rest of the way, because he kept getting more reps as the season went along. He was a disruptor up front, caused havoc there, and looked pretty darn good. That's a guy, when you look at it, he's got the size at 6'4", 250 pounds. That's the prototypical edge rusher that has worked at North Dakota State. Now, for the Bison on the edge rusher, right, Toby Adene is gone. Obviously, transferred. He's playing at Colorado. So you've got a huge hole to fill there. Kelton McCaslin is back, who I think his numbers aren't going to say he had a great year. I think he was close. And again, I know what close is, but he was close to having at least 3 more sacks and just couldn't either get to the quarterback or wrap him up. That's something that obviously has to be addressed, and obviously it will be heading into 2026. But McCaslin's back. I think Victor Isley is set for a really big year. Now, the Bison have added a couple guys at D-end through the portal. Anthony Oakes from Montana Tech, Truman Griffith from Kansas State. We'll see. That's a position, another one I'm keeping an eye on during fall camp. But Stenbrotten's certainly a name there. The other is in that same spot. And Thomas Roberts is not a name that you know. I'm just saying that right now. That fits perfectly in the segment we're talking about. Roberts is 6'4", 275. He plays D-end. One of the strongest guys on the team. Former walk-on from Albion, Nebraska. And experience-wise, though, this goes back to my first point when we're talking on McCaslin. McCaslin and Stenbrotten and Isley are the only defensive ends that have played in a game for NDSU. That's it. Griffith and Oakes transferred here. Roberts redshirted last year, but all he's done is win over his teammates. The coaching staff seems to love him. That's a guy that may be poised to really come through and have a big-time year. We'll see. But that's the 5 guys defensively. Offensively, I think everybody wants to talk offense. Again, there might be names you already have heard of, may not have. First one comes to mind is Miles Mitchell, the running back out of Chicago, who played last year, played in the, I think, 4 games a season ago. Mitchell scored a touchdown against Tennessee State, and then they preserved his red shirt because at that time we didn't know what the future status was going to be going forward. Now, Mitchell suddenly becomes the number 2 back with Barika Penu moving on. DJ Scott elevates to that number 1 role. I think Miles is set for a big year. Throughout the spring, he was elusive. He was catching passes. Now, the Bison obviously had Braylon Tolliver there as a true freshman that was going to play. He tore his ACL in the final spring practice, so they went and added Naoti Puni out of Holy Cross, who coaches can't say enough about how fast and how big he is. I think he's their number 3 back. We'll see. But Money Mitchell is his nickname. That's a name that I think we're going to know as the season goes along. Mitchell is one. Guy blocking for him is another up front. Gage Smith is another. Now, Gage is a really intriguing story here. He's a former walk-on. He got put on scholarship, actually, during fall camp. That is the only listed center on the roster. And I know Kolpak wrote about that today at Inforum.com about what they're going to do with Griffin Empey. And Empey is probably the most talented offensive lineman. He's only played guard. And we talked with Griffin, and if you missed our interview with him from Las Vegas, you can find it at Inforum.com or podcast our show. And I asked him specifically about where he could play. I've got no problem. If they want me at center, fine. If they want me at guard, let's go. He has taken practice reps at center. He's not played in a game at center. But if you're watching an offensive line story for fall camp, that's one. What are the 5 going to be? Because remember, it fluctuated throughout the season. I don't think they felt great about their starting 5 all year. And that's crazy to say on a unit that had 2 first-team All-Americans in Bo Johnson and Trent Fraley, who were both gone. Kenny Anania moves into that right tackle spot. They believe Josh Mangan is going to move to right guard. Then you have, is it either Empey or Schmidt at center? Let's just say it's Gage at center. Then it's Empey at left guard and Babbitt's at left tackle. And Nate Tosted is that floater out there, right? But if it's Empey at center, then Tosted goes back to left guard, and then it's Babbitt's at left tackle. That's the, I don't think dilemma is the right word. That's the storyline to follow. But Gage is a guy, I thought he got more reps and got better as spring ball went along. He was getting reps with the number ones at center. Bears watching as we move into fall camp. Preston Brown is another name that you may have heard of, haven't seen yet. Preston actually played special teams a year ago. He played in 8 games a year ago, all on special teams. Made a couple tackles on special teams. He's a quarterback, folks, and this is the first player I can tell you now with that new 5-for-5 rule this directly affects. Because Preston Brown, their plan was for him not to play this year. He was going to redshirt, right? And you weren't going to see him until 2027. Now with this rule, boy, it opens up a whole lot of possibilities for Brown to get on the field in a different role, not necessarily quarterback, maybe quarterback, behind Nathan Hayes. We'll see where him and Trey Drake line up, but he's got a ton of athleticism. He was the last quarterback that was truly recruited by Randy Hedberg. If that's the last quarterback that he has a direct attachment to, is Preston Brown. And I remember asking him, like, well, why'd you get a second quarterback when you got the kid from Florida, Xander Smith, coming in? And he said, well, he couldn't pass up this kid's athleticism. Out of Hillsboro, Missouri. They saw him at a camp down there, that big mega camp, and we got to talk to him. We got to offer him. He committed. Said, we'll find a spot for you. And we've heard this role before with QBs that have come up here and maybe can't play quarterback. And you look at Esley Thornton, Jimmy Football, James Hendricks come right to mind as guys that ended up moving different spots. They think Brown's a quarterback. So now, where do they fit with him? But that rule change completely changes their projection with Preston Brown out there at quarterback. 2 other names. I know we're running late here, so let's do it quick before we go to break. At wide receiver, Chris Keel is a name to watch. Another one out of Wisconsin. I believe this is our 4th different Wisconsin guy on guys to watch. Keel, another one got put on scholarship in spring football, really blossomed. He played in a few games last year. All I've heard of really good things about him. Keel's a name to know going forward. The last one is another Missouri kid, and that's Gabe Cunningham at tight end. Everyone's looking at Reese Kessel as the guy, right? And I figured Kessel's going to have a really good 2026. Gabe Cunningham has the frame, the size, the hands. If you're going out to practice, for you ultra Bison Rubes are going to be watching our coverage, that's another name to watch. So Mitchell, Schmidt, Preston Brown, Chris Keel, Gabe Cunningham. Those are the 5 on offense. For those looking for Kolpak, apparently he wasn't going to be here today. He didn't tell me, but apologies on that. So there, I just gave you the gamut anyway, what we're going to talk about of those players to watch coming up for storylines around Bison football, which begins its first practice 1:30 on Wednesday. All right, we're overdue for a break. Let's get caught up here. We'll do it. We'll take it now. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Ken Niumatalolo, the head coach of San Jose State, coming up in our second hour. Hot Mic rolls on a Monday. We're back right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Apologies there on the miscommunication with no Kolpak here today. We'll have him next week. All right, a couple emails coming in here from earlier in our segment. Dom, good morning. As the college football season is upon us, I know you'll have the NDSU and MSUM coaches on a weekly basis. Let us know how their seasons are going. I was wondering if you do a weekly segment with Concordia College head coach Terry Aran. I love your show and everything you cover. Keep all the great work you do. We'll see. Because there's a couple other schools I'd like to, obviously UND, we're going to feature as often as possible. Because I am of the mindset that they are going to be good this year. I really think they're poised to have a big year in year 2 with Eric Schmidt there. I think certainly their schedule befits them to start where they could go 6-1, honestly, out of the chute with the games they have. Long Island is their opener, which is, 31 days from today, I believe UND plays its opener. It's a Thursday night game with Long Island. They have Portland State on the road. They have St. Thomas as 3 of their non-cons to start, and then their other one is Nebraska. So they're not going to win that game. Let's just call it like it is. If they do, more power to them, and their year will really take off. But then the other games, part of that season opening stretch of 7, Murray State at home, at Northern Iowa, and I believe at Indiana State. Those are the 3 bottom teams. You got to be 6-1 because then you still have you're not missing anybody in the league anymore with the Bison gone. Now you play 8 games. You're playing everybody. They still have to play the Jackrabbits. They have to go to Vermillion. I believe Illinois State comes to Grand Forks. They have to play Southern Illinois as well. And they play Youngstown. They got to go to Youngstown, which is a house of horrors for them. That at Vermillion. They lost a game 2 years ago at Youngstown. I still don't know how they lost it in overtime. And they've never won in Vermillion in the Division I era. Those are 2 things they got to get over this year if they're going to be at the top and get a high playoff seed. I think they've got all the ability to do that. I really do. I think they're poised. So answer the emailer's question. We'll try, but I'd like to have some UND stuff on there. We're going to talk to Jackrabbits as well. I know for some that are ready to be done with FCS football, and I get that. I get that opinion or of that mindset, and we won't cover it nearly as much as we used to, but I still think even in their back of their mind, some Bison fans are going to keep an eye on what North Dakota and South Dakota State are going to be doing this upcoming year. We'll get Coach Duran on from time to time, though. I always like talking with him and see what's going on over in Moorhead. And depending on the year they have a great year, we'll see what happens. All right, we'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. We'll visit with our next Mountain West coach. We got a couple left. San Jose State head coach Ken Niumatalolo will join us on the Spartans and their projections for 2026. It's coming up when we start hour 2 of Hot Mic on a Monday morning. We're back right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Rock and rolling here on a Monday morning edition of Hot Mic. Matt DuBord from Fargo Davie is going to join us in about a half hour, chat about his commitment to Minnesota State University Moorhead after a Dakota Bowl winning season for the Eagles in 2025. That's coming up in just a little bit. Now, if you have been a regular viewer of us, and I got some real positive feedback here over the weekend from a variety of viewers, listeners on our conversations we've had with the Mountain West head football coaches. I think to just give them a little bit of intel on what the league is and what's to come. I appreciate that, and you can watch all of them back either in forum or on our YouTube page, and they've done really, really well, ranging from Scotty Walden, the head coach at UTEP, Dan Mullen at UNLV, to Timmy Chang at Hawaii. Last week we had Chang on. We had Jason Eck from New Mexico, Jeff Choate from Nevada, Jay Sawville from Wyoming ended our week as well. Troy Calhoun from Air Force was really cool. We have 2 left because remember, the Bison are playing all the Mountain West teams this year, whether it's a non-conference or conference game. Today is San Jose State, which will serve as the regular season finale for the Bison on Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. San Jose State, remarkably now, is the only team left in the new look Mountain West that has won the Mountain West championship. Think about that with the teams that have now moved on. It's 2012. It was the last time that they won in a Mountain West title game, which is just kind of crazy. You look at the last few years, been tough sledding here. 2020, I should say, was the last time. They were 7-1. That was in the COVID season. But from 2017, 2-11, 1-11, 5-7, 7-1 that year. 5-7, 7-5, 7-6. Ken Niumatalolo took over after more than a decade at the Naval Academy. 7-6 in 2024. Last year, real struggle at 3-9. But here's the intriguing part about their season a year ago. They beat 2 teams that finished above them in the standings. They beat New Mexico and they beat Hawaii. New Mexico had a great year and Hawaii did as well. Each of them won 9 football games. San Jose State won each of them. both of them at home. This is a team that's going to throw the football. Actually, they were picked, by the way, third in the Mountain West preseason poll in 2025, and obviously they went the other way of how they finished a season ago. Niumatalolo went into the portal as well, added players, a lot of players. Still looking actually for his quarterback as well for a team that's going to throw the football quite a bit. Here's our conversation with the head coach of the Spartans, including a Tim Miles shout-out as well. Our Media Days coverage continues with San Jose State head coach Ken Niumatalolo. I tried my best. Did I do okay on that one? I know you probably heard it butchered 1,000 times.
You did a great
right?
job.
I appreciate that. I have to start your experience coaching at the Naval Academy, how unique that is, what that was like to have so much success for so long. Can you give us just a background of what that was like coaching at Navy?
Well, I loved my time there. I was there for 25 years, 15 years as a head coach, raised my family there. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the Naval Academy. A lot of guys that I coach are serving our country. You know, now when we're in a country at war, I think of the guys that I've coached. I'm sure I have a ton of players that I coach that are protecting us right now, but I love my time there, coached some great young men. I have nothing but great memories at the Naval Academy.
I have to, and winning the Commander-in-Chief trophy, what was that like to go, and so many times you guys wanted to go meet the president?
There are always great experiences.
Yeah.
You know, my time there, got to meet 3 different presidents, actually 4 at a different place. But, there are always great experiences. But, yeah, you don't take anything for granted. I know there's a lot of things going on in the country, but I love our country.
Yeah.
Still think it's the greatest country in the world. And, I just had a ton of pride coaching there. And, again, just knowing that a lot of guys that I had an opportunity to be a part of there serving our country, a lot of them in harm's way. And, just a lot of that kind of stuff puts things in perspective.
Totally. It makes it real, right? I mean, we're in the toy department of talking about football, and then you're dealing with those guys you coach are going to go off and serve in war.
Yeah, and it was interesting. So, you got, Troy Calhoun is from Air Force.
Yeah.
He's here, and, Troy can say the same thing. I mean, he's been at the Air Force for a long time, and so it was an awesome time.
Yeah.
I loved my time there, and my son still coaches there. He's coaching there, one of the assistant coaches, and it was awesome.
Tell me about year 2 with San Jose State here, what you see for your Spartans coming back and expectations for 2026.
Well, this is actually my third year, and last year didn't go the way we wanted. We had some disappointing close losses, and I think we didn't finish very strong, but excited about this year. I feel like I did a better job as a coach in the portal. I think we're kind of figuring that out, and I think we kind of figured out which stores to shop in and not to shop in this year. And we'll see how that goes. But your roster changes so quickly in college football now, especially where we're at in the college football landscape, and trying to figure that out. I think we're all trying to learn that, and hopefully I did a better job this year than I did last year.
How unique was that for you? Because you never had to do that at the Naval Academy, and then coming here, how brand new of an experience was it for you?
Well, it was a brand new experience for me, but the cool thing about it was a brand new experience for everybody. So it wasn't like anybody had any years of experience on the portal. RevShare just started recently. The portal just started. Yeah. NIL just started. So I think we're all trying to figure it out, but it was definitely new.
I'm fascinated, the offense you ran at Navy and now what you're doing at San Jose State. It's almost A to Z. Can you describe that?
Yeah, it's totally different, from a standpoint, Normally we were top 3 in the country in rushing at the Naval Academy. Now we're top 5 in passing, and it's a system. I knew that I want to run a system, and so our offense, Coach Stutzman's offensive coordinator, it's more of a systematic way of throwing the football, which, our option game that we had in Navy was a system of running the football. And so that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a system, and that's what we're running it.
What kind of player do you look for then for an offense like that? I'm sure everybody wants to play quarterback for you if you're not going to throw it 60 to 70 times a game.
So we're able. It helps us in the quarterback department. Now the big quarterbacks are making too much. We can't shop in those stores.
Right.
But there are a lot of other guys that are interested because of what Coach Stutzman, his track record of throwing the football, and also receivers. Our top 3 receivers from last year are at all 3 of them are at Power 4 schools right now, and all did well. And so I think that track record speaks for itself as far as, some of the stuff that we've been able to do.
I'm fascinated, Coach, by the level of talent in San Jose, the surrounding areas, the high school talent. Can you tell us about that, of tapping into that and getting some really elite players to come play at your school?
Yeah, in the Bay Area, there are definitely a lot of talent. The other thing that helps is not just the high school talent, but there's a lot of junior colleges in the area. And those are areas that we got to make sure we tap into, especially with the portal and different things that high school recruiting and junior college recruiting.
How much is that something you can tap into, the amount of JUCOs there, the guys who play college football that can help you right away?
Yeah, and so the great thing about that is, they're a little bit older.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a guy that you got some immediate needs. And so the junior colleges in the Bay Area in Northern California has definitely been an asset for us. Maybe, we can't compete as far as finances sometime, but our sell is, hey, proximity to home. And that has kind of helped us too.
I have to ask you your thoughts on when you heard North Dakota State was coming into the Mountain West Conference and what you immediately thought about the Bison joining the league.
Oh, no. Because I've watched them many times. I loved watching them when I was at the Naval Academy. I watched a lot of their playoff games because I was just intrigued the longevity of their wins. They've been winning for decades, and being in this profession, that's hard to do. So I'd always watch them. How are these guys being so good for so long? And I just love the way they played. They were tough. They're hard-nosed. They're well-coached. And they're not a fluke.
Yeah.
And, they've beaten big-time teams, whether it's Iowa or wherever. They've gone and played. They don't shy away from people, but a lot of, FBS guys didn't want to play them because they knew what they're getting. Yeah. They didn't want to play them, and I know why. And so I would never have wanted to play them. But now we're in the league together, like, oh, no.
What for Bison fans that are going to watch Mountain West football, you've been in it for a few years now, how would you describe the league and the level of talent and the type of players that play in the Mountain West?
I think it's an exciting league in the Mountain West Conference. Wide variety of offenses, a lot of explosive players, a lot of skill. It's an exciting league. Yeah. And, with the Bison coming in, like I said, with their physical brand of football, bring another brand of football in there, which, it's going to make our league way, way better. It's going to get our league tougher. Just by them being in the league, will be a tougher football league because of them.
Last thing, after I know you didn't have the success you wanted last year, you've been coaching for a long, long time. Do you feel pressure to say, okay, we got to have a better year, we got to bounce back and have a really good year in 2026?
You can't sleep every night. I mean, I don't know if it's pressure. It's more, you're pissed off as a coach. Just you hated how last season finished. And so as soon as the season's over, it's hard to go to bed at night because you're thinking, how are we going to get better? How are we going to improve? How are we going to recruit? All of us doing this, you're a competitor. And so last year definitely did not sit well with me, and I'm the leader of our program. And my mindset is we got to get this fixed. And quite frankly, I hated last year. I hated to lose. But I also recognize we beat Hawaii and New Mexico, which two are the top teams in our conference. So it made me realize, we're not far off. But we still lost other games. So how do we rectify our losses? How do we get there? And so that's been the driving, motivating factor in off-season.
Last thing, you have the unfortunate pleasure that Tim Miles, the men's basketball head coach at San Jose State. You got a good story. Obviously, you coached at North Dakota State for a while. What's your relationship like with Tim?
I love Tim. Great guy. A lot of enthusiasm. He's a lot more charismatic than me. High energy. I love Tim. He's an awesome guy, and he's, working hard with the basketball program, but really good friend of mine. Love Tim.
That's good stuff there. I loved our conversation with Coach Ken, and looking forward to seeing what happens. San Jose State, you saw on their schedule, they are one of the rarities in, I think, all of Division I. They're playing 13 games this year. I think they were going to play Jacksonville State, if I remember correctly, and when the Bison moved up, there was some behind-the-scenes maneuvering and shaking here that San Jose State canceled its series with Jacksonville State. The Bison took it, and then San Jose State went in and played USC. They're going to play, you saw on that graphic, the Spartans have the Trojans. It seems fitting since the Odyssey is out right now. that the Spartans and Trojans will face off in week 0 to start the year. But they have 13 games this year. San Jose State starts the year at USC, at Eastern Michigan. They have an FCS game with Cal Poly. They go to Hawaii. They'll go to Nevada. They host UNLV the week before they host the Bison. They go to Air Force, and they host New Mexico. So all the quote-unquote heavy hitters outside of Hawaii are coming to San Jose this year. I'm really intrigued to see Sefsu Stadium in San Jose. That has only seating on one side. When we did our Mountain West tour, that kind of stood out to me that, that's different that they have that. But this is, frankly, a job or a spot that really has struggled. And they hired a bunch of new coaches in the offseason as well. They had a new special teams analyst, an offensive line coach, defensive coordinator, safeties coach, tight ends coach are all new this year. Their cornerbacks coach, Greg Burns, left to go to Washington State. Their offensive line coach, John Estes, is now coaching in the UFL. And I'm looking, you mentioned the wide receivers. Danny Scudero went to Colorado. Matthew Coleman at Sac State. Leland Smith went to UCLA. Kyrie Scholes went to Utah. So, I mean, it's an offense that certainly is befitting of throwing the football and getting it down the field. We'll see. That's a heck of a way to start. And by the time we see them, that'll be their 13th game, because that's not till the very end of the year. Who knows what could be at stake by the time we get there to Black Friday and that game being played in San Jose. Appreciate him joining us. And tomorrow we'll wrap up all of our Mountain West interviews with Rob Harley, the intern coach at Northern Illinois. What a spot he's been plugged into. Really fun conversation. That'll be part of our show tomorrow. And that I felt was a fitting way. After that, then we're off to fall camps. Everybody will be in practice, and we'll be keeping our eyes around the various practices of who's doing what around the league. All right, let's break. We come back. We have some breaking uniform news to share on a Monday. Always love that. And a couple other topics we want to hit to. Matt DuBord coming up in about a half hour, or about 15 minutes as well from Fargo Davies. More on Hot Mike right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Monday morning show rolls on. I mentioned we are on the doorstep of NFL camps getting going. I think everybody actually is in camp by tomorrow, which, again, begs the question of why any uniform news is leaking out now. We had it because why wouldn't you do that earlier in the summer rather than when camp's going? But we had the Rams announcement late last week. The Bills decided right before we hit the air, 8:30 this morning, to announce their alternate uniform. Apparently, the Nickel City alternate uniforms. And this is them. For those on the podcast, I will direct you to anything you watch later to look at this, because I don't know what they're doing, are the Bills. Apparently, the Charge helmet is bringing the charging buffalo to life with the horn, eye, and charge streak displayed on a blue shell with a micro-metallic flake finish and metallic blue accents, boasting a mindset of energy, stretch, and attack. I don't know what the helmet, no, I don't mind the colors of the uniform, but again, that's not the Bills' normal colors. Why couldn't they wear their Phil Hansen, early 90s ones? A blue collar is a tribute to the blue-collar workers of past and present who represent the strength, work ethic, and authenticity of our city. Apparently on the left crest, there you see it, is a charging buffalo positioned close to the heart. The charging buffalo placement represents the love we have for our team and the pride so many Bills legends have shown. I don't know on this, folks. It says "Go Bills" inside the collar, the preferred way to salute Bills Mafia out in the wild. The helmet really bugs me. I don't understand what that is. Like, for those that remember, in 1994, which was the anniversary season of the National Football League, I think it was their 75th year, every team wore throwback uniforms. The Lions had their cool ones, which I think they still wear every Thanksgiving. The Bills I remember stood out because they had the old bill on it. I think it was a white helmet with the red bill. Why couldn't they do that as opposed to the anthracite color or whatever they call it, nickel gray, whatever. It says utilizing an existing brand color. Where is that in their uniforms? We pull inspiration from the steel mills, grain elevators, and rail yards, which are foundational to our region's place in history. There are plenty of that around the western New York area. I can definitely say that's accurate. I don't know. I'm kind of a meh on what the Bills are doing with those. Not many of the alternates actually work. There's very few. If don't do an alternate, do a throwback. Like everyone freaks out, and rightfully so, when the Vikings bring out their throwbacks, which they do once or twice a season. Those are great. Like I'm not sure why they're not the permanent uniforms, but that's a question that's beyond my thought process on that. To me, that seems like a kind of a no-brainer if they wanted to go down that way. As we speak right now, the Big Sky is holding its media days today out in Spokane. Friend of our program, Tom Wistersill, the commissioner of the Big Sky, is doing his annual address. Tweets out just a few minutes ago, speaking of basketball, I'm personally excited for the expansion. We had Tom on because he's on the committee. We had him on. Go back and podcast. That was a really fun interview. He says, I believe it will be great for the Big Sky Conference with increased opportunity to win tournament games and earn additional revenue for our schools. He's in a different position than, say, Josh Fenton is with the Summit League. And because the Big Sky on men's basketball hasn't won a tournament game in over 20 years. They haven't gotten any units. 0. The Summit League, I believe, this coming year is the last year they can dine out on Oral Roberts' run to the Sweet 16 they had in the COVID tournament of 2021. Remember when Oral Roberts beat Florida and Ohio State, I want to say? Think about that. With Max Asmus going crazy, and they lost to Arkansas in the Sweet 16. Those is, I believe, is a 5-year window after that where the league gets paid a certain amount of money and everybody gets to share in it. I believe that's over because now the league hasn't won a game since then. They haven't been in a first 4 game. The league's been too good to be in the first 4. That's why Wistersill was such a big component of it, a proponent of it, I should say, because there's more opportunities now if you put in those games that are involved teams 70, the 15 seeds facing each other or the 16 seeds facing each other. You got a chance to win a game that counts as a unit. Bison won a game in 2019 when they beat North Carolina Central. That gave the league units. The conference has put out, by the way, its preseason most valuable players, Big Sky that is. Eli Gilman from Montana, the outstanding running back for his senior year. And Caden Dowler, the great safety from Montana State, is the defensive preseason league MVP. I'm looking at the preseason all-conference teams. Justin Lamson, Montana State. Gilman from Montana. Adam Jones, Montana State. Taco Dowler. A lot of names we're familiar with. We talked about it last week on the show as well. That game, Montana State's trip to Reno, September the 12th, might be the most anticipated game on the FCS calendar this year in terms of FCS opponents because of the connections between the schools. Obviously, Jeff Choate was the coach at Montana State before he went first to Texas, then to Nevada. Vegan's team is loaded and is the preseason number 1 and should be. They're the reigning champions. I think they'll be a healthy favorite when that game comes about. That, to me, and we'll do this when I believe we're going to have our guy Sam Herder back with us next week to get us back in. Sam will be back on a new day. I believe he's going to be joining us on Wednesdays going forward. To discuss like the top games of the year in the FCS versus the FBS. That UND-Nebraska game is intriguing. South Dakota State plays Northwestern. Kind of piqued my interest on that one too. Montana State, Nevada is certainly high up there on those lists. North Dakota State's game with Fordham is not on that list to me. I'm looking at the other games in the Mountain West of who's playing whom there. Of FCS opponents, and some don't have one. Most do. that are awfully interesting to see what those map out. Because, frankly, now, and I saw one CBS Sports projection has UNLV as the group of 12 or the group of 6 team in the 12-team college football playoff. You can't lose. The league can't mess around with that. The league has to take care of business, especially against FCS teams. So because that would hurt the league overall if Nevada were to get tripped up by Montana State. That's not good for the conference as a whole. Just it does not reflect well. We'll see. The games get started here shortly, just 31 days out from actual football happening. We're due for a break. We come back. We'll meet one of the area's top players, another one that's heading across the river to play for Steve Lockway and the Dragons. Matt DuBord joins us, state champion from the Davies Eagles a year ago. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Monday morning show rolls on. You know, last week we had a couple of commitments on, including on Friday's show. We had Central Cass standout Easton Holland join us, who set the Squirrels single-season receiving record. He's going to go play across the river for Steve Lockway and the Dragons. And we end our show Monday with another Dragon commit that happened over the weekend. Seemed like there were a host of them that happened. We know Fargo Davies won the 3A state championship last November. They seem poised to be very good again in the EDC. Big reason why they won the title last year is our next guest, offensive lineman Matt DuBord, joins us after his announcement. He's going to play football for Steve Lockway and the Dragons. Great to see you, bud. Congratulations. Give us the lowdown on the commitment, how all went down on why MSUM was the choice for you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. So I went to a junior day this winter with them and just told me about the program. It was a good program. The coaching staff's great. The culture they built's great, and how they care for their players. And then I've seen them throughout the camps at UND and NDSU, and they definitely loved what I was doing there and everything I've done. So then I went to their camp. I got the offer before, so then went to their camp, learned how they coached and everything, and went on a visit after. That was great. And then decided to commit this past weekend. So
what was that feeling like calling? Who did you call? Did you call Coach Lockway? Was it Coach Needham? Who did you contact to commit?
I texted Coach Needham that I wanted to commit, and then he gave me a call. So and then a whole bunch of coaches texted me and said they're excited for me to join the Dragon family.
So knowing that they throw the ball 60, 70 times a game as an offensive lineman, is that appealing to you?
It's definitely more than appealing than how many times we throw the ball at Davies. So it'll be good to change it up, but they still do run the ball a little bit. It's a lot more outside stuff compared to what we run. So, yeah.
I'm fascinated, Matt, to ask you about that, because the offense you play as an offensive lineman, what is that like on a game-by-game, even practice-by-practice, knowing, all right, here we go, we're going to do the same thing again?
It's a lot of just repetition, getting down the technique and everything, but once you get that down, it's easy to learn. I mean, it's a smash-mouth type of football game, and it's the whole team has bought into that, and I think that's what has helped us succeed throughout these past 4 years.
When there's a pass play call, does that get you like oh, here we go, I got to do something different?
Yeah, no, it was definitely exciting. I mean, last year when I played tight end, I caught my only catch of the year, which was very fun. So that definitely got me excited. So,
what was that like, knowing the ball was coming your way?
Oh, I mean, I was scared I was going to drop it, but it was a 50-50 ball between me and a DB. First game, Minot. It should have been called an interception, but thankfully it was a reception by me.
Did your teammates give you a hard time on that one afterwards?
No, they just helped me up and said, let's go to the next play.
Oh, man. Tell me about last year. Have that kind of success that Davies had been there and not gotten over to win it last year. What happened maybe afterwards, or you weren't counting on? Like, man, this was a big deal, maybe beyond even what you thought.
Definitely going back to that loss to Cheyenne, it definitely brought that returning guys definitely closer and wanting to get back to that state championship game, and it just made us work even harder in the weight room and the off season and everything. So it definitely brought these guys a lot closer, and that graduating class was super talented. So it was a great class to be with, especially with talent-wise.
So now you've gone from being the hunter to now you're the hunted. How does that change mentality-wise when fall camp starts next week?
Everyone's 0-0. I mean, anyone can slip at any point. I mean, I think we got to play like we're the underdog in every game. So,
how difficult is that knowing we won it last year? Is that, I mean, you were visiting off air with me about summer workouts. Is that something you guys are hammering right now?
Yeah, it's definitely that. It's a new season. We can't be still hung up on that championship win. I mean, it's a new season and got to go earn everything.
All right, so from what the Dragons saw out of you, what were their conversations about what your future projections of where you could play and what they see out of you at the next level?
They definitely see me playing at like a guard or tackle position. So, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, they see me fitting really well in that, and not much in their pass because I haven't really shown much pass, but definitely a lot of outside zone stuff we definitely run at Davies. So,
well, tell Weremeyer to throw it a few more times so you can get some pass pro on tape then, right?
Yeah, will do.
I have to ask, when was there a moment, was there a game or a coach come up to you and say, hey, we think you can play at the next level? Do you remember anything specific like that?
Not really. I mean, this year for camps-wise, a lot more coaches have been talking to me.
Yeah.
So it's been a good season for camps. I mean, I earned a majority of my offers this summer. So,
what was that like to go out there and do that and then validate it by seeing other schools that once you got offered, other ones hopped in?
No, it felt great. I mean, it just shows that all the hard work I've done finally paid off. So it felt great to get those.
What was it like then to make a decision? Was this something like, all right, this is bigger than I thought?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of stress. Yeah. I mean, it was between St. Thomas and MSUM, both really good programs, and it was down to and I decided to go with MSUM, and that's 100% the right choice for me.
You talk about, Matt, the amount of local guys that are staying around, whether it's in the EDC or even around the area that are going to be Dragons?
Yeah, no, it's good to see a lot of the local talent stay home. I mean, that just shows how good of a job that the Christine Ham, the recruiting coordinator, has done at MSUM and keeping local guys home.
How much do you know any of the other guys outside of competing against them? Do you know any of them really well?
Yeah, I know Cullen Cooper really good. Yep. I went to school with him for a while, and I played on football with him. I know Mo Barkin. I played against him a couple times. I also know him from track. Easton Holland. His dad actually teaches me at Davies.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be a teammate with him and all those guys.
That's a neat part about the connections there. I have to ask as well, knowing what kind of success they had last year producing an NFL quarterback, how attractive was that now that maybe it wasn't maybe a year or 2 years ago?
I've definitely just started to learn about all these NSIC programs like in the past couple of years, and it's definitely been a huge learning curve for me because I mean, I've known about MSUM since I was 8th grade. My uncle coached there for a bit. But, I mean, I've liked what A.J. Scott has done with the offensive line there. He's definitely done a really good job with teaching them. So
this is the last few days before camp begins. What's this week like? Is it dread, like fall camp? And seeing the temperatures, I'm sure you're probably glad you're not practicing this week.
Yeah, it's just a lot of team stuff. Just getting ready for fall camp, and then we have a couple days off to rest the body, and then we go at it. I'm excited from this year. I think it's going to be a great year.
I have to add, so the advent now of the guys getting together in the summer, we've known it in college. How big a deal is it in high school, and how often do you guys get together?
We get together Monday through Thursdays, and it's an hour every day. So we just go through all our technique stuff, kind of install all the offense so the incoming freshmen learn it. The sophomores know how to pick up the tempo a little bit more from coming off their freshman year. So it definitely helps out a lot of the guys who are definitely struggling.
All right, I'm looking at the schedule this year. You guys get Shanley and West Fargo at your place. Which one will be the bigger? I know Shanley's a rivalry game. I know West Fargo will be a biggie now of what happened with coaches. Which one are you looking forward to more?
Shanley.
Yeah.
I mean, Shanley's always a big rival, no matter if a team's really good or really bad. They're always going to come to play their best. So
Has that trophy become a thing now, Matt? You guys, does everybody touch it? Like when you win it, can you describe what the 25th Street Trophy is like?
So for the past few years, Davies has won it. I mean, it's always a great feeling to go beat them. So, I mean, they're coming to Davies this year, and it's our homecoming, so it's definitely going to mean a lot more for us.
There you go.
So, goal every year is always to win that game, so...
Has Horace become something as well for you guys as well, with how the success they've had? And obviously Cheyenne goes without saying, but Horace is now the new kids on the block, and they were really good last year.
A little bit. Horace, since I was a freshman, we lost to them my freshman year, my freshman team, and they were a good team. So there's definitely a little bit of rivalry. I think every team's a rival for us in the East. Everyone's good. So, yeah.
I have to ask on the jersey number switch. So can you tell us about that? When you're playing tight end, do you have to get a new jersey on? Can you a new number?
So every game I would ask what position I was going to be playing. So the first couple of games I was 35, so I was eligible for a catch.
Okay.
And then we had a guy go down, so I had to put back on 74. I would always keep 35 out there just in case. And then the last three or 2 weeks of the season, I would come out with 35, and then after that drive, I would put on 74. So I would flip at every drive. It was definitely difficult.
How do you do that during the game? Is somebody helping you get your jersey off and put a new one on?
Yeah, so there's a coach, Kyle Christopherson. He was the main guy that would help me put it on and off. So big props to him. Did
you ever get stuck? Did you ever hey, I got to get out there?
No, because no, I never did.
That's good. I'm interested. Do the college coaches have a hard time figuring out what number you were when they're watching tape?
So I kind of split that up. I put my offensive tackle clips, and I put my tight end clips behind that. So,
how are the hands? I know you only had the one catch, but if the ball's coming your way, you grabbing that thing?
I'm almost confident in myself. I'm gonna catch majority of stuff that comes my way. So.
To have this over and done with, tell me what the weekend was like after you made this official.
It was good. A lot of people reached out and congratulated me. My family was definitely proud of me. It felt good to get that weight off my shoulders. Now I can just go focus on the team this year, and it'll be good.
How about for yourself, knowing a leadership role likely on this team? Expectations are going to be high. How does that suit you for starting fall camp next week with Davies?
I just got to bring the energy. I mean, once I bring the energy, I think the team will buy into the fall camp more, and then they'll just be excited to come to practice, because I know a lot of kids dread coming to fall camp. But if you make it a good time, I think kids will start to buy in and have fun at fall camp, which is something weird to say.
Have you thought that this is your last one, your last fall camp? Has that clicked yet, or not till you start it next week?
Not till I start it next week. It's definitely going to be a little weird knowing that it's gone by that fast, but I just got to make the best of it, so...
Is there a time where you get the grind of okay, we're ready to be done? How far into camp are you all right, let's play a game?
So I think August 14th is we have a scrimmage.
Yeah.
I don't know against who, but a couple days before that, it's definitely a grind. But once we get to that scrimmage, it's definitely gone by. You'll realize how fast it's gone by.
And then the season goes by like this, right? It just goes by so fast. It's kind of crazy like that. Thanks so much for doing this, bud. I appreciate it. Yeah. Stay cool. Good luck this year. Stay healthy.
Hey,
we'll talk soon, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Matt DuBord joining us. Davies High School, member of the MSUM class of 2027, joining a growing list of guys that have verbally committed that are local players. And this is what Lockway has done. I know he can't talk about any of these guys publicly until they sign, which isn't until February. Division II hasn't got the early signing period yet, so they got to wait a while before we can actually talk to Steve about any of these players. But this is something that he has feasted on, and now he can go into living rooms or go to high schools. Hey, we just produced an NFL level quarterback. Strand is out there. He's practicing with the Atlanta Falcons as we speak, and no matter what ends up happening, if he makes the team or whatever, the fact that he signed, that's something that they can dine out for a long, long time on the recruiting trail. Just doesn't happen. And if he makes the team, if Strand ends up making Atlanta, man, look out. That's a major feather in the cap for what's going on across the river at MSUM. Good stuff there with Matt, and we'll we'll see. Should we set the under-over when Weremeyer joins us? How many times they're going to throw the ball this year? At like 20 and a half? Is that too low? I mean, if they play 9 regular season games, right? And if they think they're going to be good in 3 playoff games, that's 12 games. That's a little over a pass a game. We'll see. I would go. I would probably maybe push maybe like 20 passes for the season because they're going to run that same offense. It's good. Nobody could stop it last year. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things. Get you ready for the Monday in sports. We'll do that one. Hot Mic wraps on WDAY Extra right after these messages. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday morning. We're back with you tomorrow. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us. We'll also have our final coach conversation from Mountain West Media Days with Northern Illinois' Rob Harley. He'll be part of our action-packed program tomorrow. Make sure you join us for that. Big Ten Media Days will begin tomorrow as well. They're the final ones to go. The preseason media poll is out. They don't do a traditional poll there. The Big Ten never has. Via Cleveland.com. Ohio State was picked first. Oregon second. Indiana third. The reigning national champs go 3. USC at 4. Michigan 5. Then Penn State, Washington, Iowa, Illinois. Minnesota picked 10th. Nebraska 11th. Wisconsin 12th. Then UCLA, Northwestern, Maryland, Michigan State, Rutgers, and Purdue bringing up the rear. Minnesota defensive standout Anthony Smith has been picked as the potential preseason defensive player of the year in the Big Ten. That's never happened for a Gopher before. He beat out 4 Oregon Ducks for preseason defensive player of the year honors for the defensive lineman. We keep an eye on that D-line because there's Carter Menz from West Fargo Cheyenne had a breakthrough year for the Gophers in 2025, and he figures to be a big piece of that Minnesota defense this upcoming year. So 10th for the Gophers. P.J. Fleck will be speaking, I believe, on Wednesday at Big Ten Media Days. We'll have a snippet of that, I know, for many Gopher fans around the area interested. And now there's no shortage of local guys that are playing at the University of Minnesota. Obviously, Menz. We had Riley Sunram join us earlier this summer from Kindred, North Dakota. That see if he can break through and get on the field this upcoming fall. And we know the litany of spuds that have all committed now to go play at the U that will be enrolling early and joining in January of 2027. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that for this upcoming fall. But that's one note there out of the Big Ten and its media days for this upcoming football season. Quiet baseball night tonight outside of the Legion State Tournament gets going not too far from us at Jack Williams Stadium. First time in a bit that the Jack has hosted the State Legion Tournament. That gets going. It is a long event. It goes Monday to Saturday. You can see on the ticker there's a couple games today. Those are play-in games, and then into the main bracket tomorrow. The Red Hawks are off tonight. They're back tomorrow. The Twins have a rare off day. I know Corey Provis was very excited about this when we visited on Friday, a rare off day when they're home, as they'll open up with Kansas City. So we started our show earlier in the week, or earlier in the day, talking on what the Twins could potentially do with the trade deadline just over a week away now from when decisions have to be made. Obviously, we were on the air Friday when the big news happened. They're still talking about today on LeBron James making officially, I think he signed his contract yesterday, was on the NBA transaction wire, that he's now a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. And now we wait patiently for the NBA schedule to come out, where we have to assume that the 76ers are going to be filled in every sort of prime TV event that they can have. Speaking of TV, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our great friends at Northwestern Mutual. We got the Guardians and the Reds tonight. That's a good game, 6 o'clock on ESPN. I put that on there because I don't know who's calling the game. They fired Carl Ravitch. Who's calling the game now on ESPN? That's tonight at 6 o'clock. Big Sky Media Day going. You can watch from all the teams, 11 o'clock, top of the hour on ESPN+. You can hear from Brent Vegan and Montana State, everybody there coming up at the top of the hour. Cubs and Cardinals also tonight, 6:30 on MLB TV. Our thanks to Ken Niumatalolo and Matt DuBord. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a complete replay on WDAY+. Thanks for starting your day with us, everyone. Stay cool out there. Everybody have a magical Monday. See you tomorrow.